One, live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Kingdom of Honor, or not Kingdom of Honor, Dynamite After Dark. We're not actually going after Dynamite tonight because, goddamn, that I don't give a shit who wins this main event, and I don't think Jeff does either. It's not been a great show. Neither one of us has really enjoyed it overly, and
I
you know,
enjoyed.
I texted Jeff like right at the beginning of the show, and I said this title means nothing immediately, and he's like, why? Because Shawn Spears is in the tournament, and my response was because of over half the field. But but Shawn Spears being in a main event of Dynamite certainly turns me completely off. And then when he and Sammy Guevara are betting on who can hold a suplex the longest against Darby Allin and make it completely unrealistic, that fucking turns me off completely.
Yeah,
So
that's that.
I am totally out. I'm totally out on this main event.
I mean, it's in all fairness, it's something that we're talking about doing is maybe broadcasting these live with like instant reactions and then a little talk about it afterwards. But that's still in the works. But in all fairness, there are people that are still watching, so I kind of want to give this match its due.
No, its due is it's give it its due. I'll give it its due. It's a piece of shit. So
I was even before that whole gambling segment, which there's been parts of the show tonight that have borderline on stupid. Like not even just like silly, haha, we're having fun, but silly, stupid. Um, there were a few things that Colt said earlier that caught me. There was some of the debut matches. I'm not right now completely sold that Luke Harper is the right fit for the guy that he's portraying. I think he's the right fit for his position if it was tweaked a little, but I don't know that he's the right fit for the guy that he's portraying.
Oh, you're wrong about that. He's the perfect fit for the guy he's
I
portraying.
see, and I don't think
We
so.
forgot to I forgot to mention this last week, but clearly, he's a guy that was overlooked in the WWE by Vince McMahon of all people, and now he's playing Vince McMahon on these shows, and I absolutely love it because it's to me he's the perfect guy because he was there. He was there and he saw all this bullshit. And I forgot to mention it last week about the whole sneezing thing and you don't eat before I finish eating and all that kind of stuff. It was obviously playing a Vince McMahon type character. And
And
he's doing the same thing again this week and telling him not to yawn in his presence. I love it. I think it's
I
great.
and see, I'm more of a what the hell is Darby doing? He climbed. What the? Oh. I think my biggest problem with this main event is you've got Cody and you've got two of the rising stars that probably are going to be main eventers and main eventing pay-per-views within 10 years against each other. And they haven't been able to shine in this match. It's been a slow, plodding match with bad storytelling, and just nothing has. Now we're at the end of the match. We finally get a little bit of flash out of Darby and Sammy. This is
I'm trying. I'm really trying to not be as hard on this match because I know that they have a limited talent roster to go with. Being in the conditions that there are right now. But I don't like Shawn Spears being in a main event of Dynamite. Um, I don't like him being in the TV title tournament because to me, there's guys in this tournament that either have never been on Dynamite before or have barely been on Dynamite, and yet they're in the tournament to
Yeah,
crown
I mean,
a TNT champion when
three
they've
out of
barely
that
been on TNT.
three out of
Um,
that left side are just they shouldn't be in it. Spears shouldn't be in it. Neither should Kip Sabian. Neither should Archer, and neither should Colt Cabana.
exactly,
They
and
those four
and
guys have no reason to be in a tournament to crown a champion.
and yeah, but really, I mean, aside from my dislike of Shawn Spears as being portrayed in this kind of a way as a main event talent, um, or an upper card talent, whatever you want to call it. What did in the inner circle say the Dynamite after Jericho lost the title at Revolution? They said they were declaring war on the entire AEW. They
Right.
said nobody was safe. They said that that they were going to raise hell and raise havoc on everybody,
Oh,
and
no,
yet
Darby just turns on
and,
Cody.
and yet a member of the Inner Circle tonight is teaming up with Sammy Guevara. I mean, a member of the Inner Circle and Sammy Guevara is teaming up with somebody outside the Inner Circle. I just
No,
think that's really bad storytelling.
not just somebody outside the inner circle, but somebody who is 1-6 in his career. He doesn't. He hasn't even. I mean, I'll give. I personally think you've been hard on Sean Spears, but his record is even showing that he doesn't deserve the spot. He's 1-6. He's in the middle of trying to do a YouTube find a partner skit. He does not deserve to be in a main event. And if they were just using this main event to get um, this little Darby Allin Cody thing across, they could have done it a whole much better way.
Yeah, I mean, and it's these pairings because of the tournament brackets that are coming up. I mean, it could have just as easily have been Jake Hager in this match teaming up with Guevara, and it would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah, or even yeah, and then it would have actually made sense because the whole inner circle. I'm right there with you on this. For the first time ever, I think I'm gonna agree with you on Sean Spears and the fact that he shouldn't have been there. It didn't fit storylines. It doesn't fit his character. It doesn't fit his win-loss record. The only reason for him to be in this match was for that stupid little gambling spot, which took away more of it than anything else.
And the other thing, the other thing with the bracket for the tournament is, as much as I love him, Dustin has the same problem of being in that tournament that Sean Spears does, in that, he's working on being a tag team wrestler right now.
Yep.
So why is he in a tournament to crown a singles championship?
And I mean, and I get at least he has some sort of presence to where he at least is not disrespecting the tournament by being in it.
Yep, that's true.
Where I think those other four kind of are. I mean, you've got Sean Spears who's in it, but he's what now? Oh, he just got the roll-up win in this tournament, so now he's 2-6. Well, 1-6 in tournament or in singles competition throughout the year so far. He doesn't deserve to be in a tournament. Then, like you said, there's three guys. Or Kip Sabian has done nothing except feud with Joey Janela, and then you've got maybe this tournament should have been held off until the full roster and the crowds could be there. But if you're
it definitely should have been, because I mean, there's going to be people out there that are going to be apologists and saying, well, they're going with the bracket that they have right now. Great. Why do they have Why are they doing the belt right now?
Well, and
they're adding a TNT belt for at a time where there's no crowd. There's no reason to have it. You and I have argued ever since AEW started, they don't even need a damn mid-card title in the first place.
No.
And now they're going to add it now when it doesn't make, when there's no crowd out there, there's no excitement for it, there's nobody to cheer for it, and they're crowning the first champion of a TNT championship at their next prospective pay-per-view, which doesn't make any sense either.
Because we don't know when that's going to be even. When are they going to hold one?
If they were going to add another title, and I'm going to credit my buddy Sidgwick with saying this. Sidgwick is the guy, Jeff, that I don't know if I've mentioned him to you before or not, but he writes for What Culture. Before that, he wrote for Lords of Pain alongside me. He's the one that got me into NJPW. In turn, I got you into NJPW. So in a way, he's responsible for us doing this show together.
Right.
And he wrote for What Culture yesterday, about how if they were going to institute a new championship, it should have been a trios title. And it really should have been. They should have been the first major American promotion, because I'm not going to count Ring of Honor. They've never had a national exposure like this, to have a trios championship. Because look at all the factions that they have. And if they weren't going to do that, and this is not what Sidgwick said, that it should have been something else. Like it should have been a never open weight championship, and never in the sense that it was originally intended for, which is like an under 30 title. Because look at all the guys that have that are under 30 that are great and moving up in the company.
Right.
It should have been like a tough man championship, like the never open weight title was turned into, where there's a separate division. Or it could have been a cruiserweight title where there's a separate division, but they don't need another mid-card title. Well, so unless they're going to do something to make this championship really special and really different, which they have not said anything about whatsoever. It's just a mid-card title on a show that didn't need a mid-card title.
It's a TV title is what it is.
And I assume that's what it's going to be, but unless they actually announce a title where either the title's where it's a 20-minute match where the title's only on the line for the first 10 minutes, or where they're all 10-minute matches, and it goes back to harkens back to the original NWA WCW Mid-Atlantic TV title. I don't want it. We're going to get it, and I'm sure a year from now we're going to be used to it, and we're going to be excited for that title to be defended. But right now, to me, it's just totally extraneous.
And again, what's the point of the ranking system? Honestly, if you're going to introduce a mid-card title, or it's not a weight limit title, it's not an age limit title, it's just a mid-card title. So if you're going to introduce a mid-card title, why don't you use your top 8 ranked competitors and rank them that way, seed them that way? The number one contender goes against number 8, number 2 against number 7, instead of throwing together 4 to 5 people that don't deserve to be in this type of tournament.
Yep, and Cody being in this tournament really hurts the credibility of that stipulation that cost him never being able to wrestle for the AEW title again. It really, I shouldn't say him being in the tournament cost it. The belt existing, really downplays that, because now, yeah, he can't be AEW champion, but he can still be AEW TNT champion. And he's a main eventer, so yeah, I understand that anybody beating him is going to gain instant credibility, but still, and all, to me, that title existing, especially only a couple of months after he lost that stipulation, really takes away from him never being able to be the AEW champion.
Well, that stipulation was stupid anyway, and they're going to figure out some way to get around that. There will be a time when Kobe will be champion. And
yeah, I agree. I mean, there's going to be something like, he wins the wild card tournament, or the is that what it's called, the wild card battle? Yeah, wins the wild card battle royal or something. Who knows? But
yeah, I mean, there'll be a way that he'll get back into it. It was a stupid stipulation, something that never should have been uttered in the beginning, in the first place, considering that they knew they were building towards MJF and Cody, so you knew he was going to lose the belt. It was a bad stipulation to begin with. And what I was saying about Brody Lee, I think and I get that he's trying to do the Vince McMahon character and everything, but he has he doesn't have that kind of intimidating credibility yet. Like of Lance Archer, I could clearly see in that role with because he's just a scary dude to look at. Luke Harper is not as intimidating as Lance Archer is, so to be that demanding, screaming, throwing things, I would rather see Brody Lee be more of a Tony Soprano type character, where he's not as intimidating, but damn well he's the boss and he can kill you at any second.
Fair enough. I just don't think that's the idea for the character.
No, and that's where I'm having issues with it. Is I just don't think. I mean, I think he's the right guy to be the exalted one. I just am not a fan of the way he's presented, and I'm not a fan of him constantly referring to himself as the exalted one.
Well, he also referred to himself as Mr. Brody.
Right.
Which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, or it isn't obvious to, the reason that he's called Brody Lee is because he looks a lot like Jason Lee. And Jason Lee played the character Brody in Mallrats. So, but I am going somewhere with this. But also, I think that if he were to shave, and be all dressed up with that hair slicked back, he could also would have a passable resemblance to possibly being a son of Vince McMahon. So I do think that he kind of fits that role in a way that Lance Archer would not be able to.
Yeah, I think I'm looking more at the character that he's portraying to be a better fit for Lance Archer. The role I think is perfect for Brody Lee. I'm just not a fan of the way that the character is developing, with him being as trying to be as intimidating as possible. The other thing that was borderline silliness is Dark Order number 8 and 9.
Well, that's where I was going to. That's where I was going to go next. Is I don't feel the same way that you do about the backstage stuff going on with him, and I think that even if I did feel that way, I would realize, okay, well, he's just only been doing this for a couple of weeks. He has plenty of time to grow into this role and for it to become more natural for him, and a more natural thing for us to see in those instances. To me, him coming out and powerbombing his own guy and then giving that weird stare down to the other guy was the silly part of the whole thing.
I
That
just
that I thought was just awful.
I'm just not buying into it. I'm not the whole ever since he was revealed as the Exalted One. I think while there's some little bits of comedy to it, and it's not being presented enough to where I'm buying in. Now, like you said, yeah, he might grow into the role. I might buy into it in a little bit, but I've been down on this whole Dark Order thing now for a couple of months, and it
Hmm.
just seems like it's gone from bad to silly. And silly, in a lot of times, is worse than bad. Because,
Yeah, I think what they really need is is a real feud. Yeah, I know they're doing this stuff with SCU, but I'd be, of course, maybe it's just because of my feelings about SCU. But I mean, to me, if they had a more intimidating opponent and there was gonna be like some kind of a blood feud going on instead of what we've seen so far, it'd be a lot easier to buy into.
well, how about this? How about, when you have a battle royal for the tag team titles, you have your uh, founders, Evil Uno and Grayson, in it, not the two sidekicks? How about, we've got two other tag teams that are involved in the Dark Order with Evil Uno and Grayson, and then also those other two, and I can't remember their names right now. And then you send out 8 and 9 against a debuting. I think Natural Apple would have been a better fit for them than Natural Nightmare, to be honest.
That'd be great.
Um, just because that's,
It sounds
QT.
like it sounds like a good way to have it to take a poop too.
Right, but I'm just saying it's, QT's gimmick is the apple and,
Yeah.
natural Dustin Rhodes. I just, the Nightmare, the only reason the Nightmare comes in there is because Brandy's their manager, I guess. I'm not really sure what that's all about, but it just, this whole Dark Order thing, it's been bad for months. It's been nonsensical for months, and now it's just borderline silly. I can't buy into Brody Lee and the current character he's doing. I really do fit. I think he would fit more of a mob boss leader than a threatening "I'm going to kill everybody" type guy. Um,
I Yeah, no, I totally see where you're coming from. And as far as the Dark Order thing, I think that this really should have been featured more on Dynamite, having like knockdown, drag out brawls with SCU and Best Friends.
well,
Because
yeah,
that's really who they've been against, and then they could have eventually built so that that was the feud going into Blood and Guts, rather than a scattered version of the Elite taking on Inner Circle basically out of nowhere.
right.
I really think that's really what they should have built to. And I realize we still be in the same situation where Blood and Guts would have had to be postponed, and maybe that would have hurt him more. I don't know, but I really think that Dark Order. Yeah, we saw the vignettes, but for the most part, they've been directionless. And whether that was because they were waiting for Brody Lee to become available or waiting for something else to happen, I have no idea. But I really think that if there'd been something more heated going on rather than this goofy shit like Christopher Daniels pretending to be a member of the Dark Order or all this other stuff going on, we would have been in a much better place. We'd feel better about this angle than we do.
Well, and not just that, but I mean the fact that the Dark Order was originally just a tag team, and then it morphed into this whole thing from that tag team, but that tag team never really got a chance to get over.
Hmm.
They really didn't. I mean, they were bounced in the second round of the tag tournaments. They never got a chance to really get over as a tag team, and then all of a sudden, The tag team itself is taking a back seat to their minions. It's not been well done, not at all. And the other thing that I was disappointed in was the fact that Lance Archer debuted against Marco Stunt.
Why? You love Marco Stunt.
Come on.
But
Do we need to continue? Do we need to? I guess I'm just over squash matches. And that's what this was. It was going to be a squash match regardless, but even Luke Harper, Brody Lee got a match against someone feasible last week.
I don't know. I don't think Marco Stunt is much worse than QT Marshall.
But at least stature-wise, he stands up a little bit better.
That is true, but we also wouldn't have got the Bad Man Bigelow, Spike Dudley type image of Lance Archer chokeslamming Marco Stunt into the crowd like we got. So, no, I'm doing a show with you.
Cat keeps jumping on my work computer.
And I don't think he would have been able to do something like that to like QT Marshall or I don't know.
No, I mean,
or Chucky T.
I get why they used the smallest guy on the roster to make him look stronger and all. I don't feel like it was necessary for a guy like Lance Archer. And believe me, I love the way that he came out and did his Suzuki-gun character and took out a ringside person like he was a young lion. That made me happy.
It's not necessary for you and I because we know who Lance Archer is.
Right.
But let's also think about the fact that what do we say so often about guys that are on this show, like Kenny Omega and Phoenix, about how people are finally getting a chance to see these guys on a weekly basis on national television that may never have seen them before because they were in Japan or they were on the Indies, and that's really where I think that you might be like losing a little bit of sight here that a national audience has seen Lance Archer maybe for the first time, or at least for the first time in a decade, and being able to see what he can do. Yeah, and it's always been a thing in pro wrestling, and it probably always will be that the big guys are generate that awe, and they look even bigger when they're against the smaller guys.
Well, I will say this: it is nice to have a debut lately. Lately, their debuting characters have actually been winning, so that's been nice. That was a complaint I had a couple months ago, and they've kind of course corrected that a little bit.
Yeah. The two things I did really well. I really liked the first two matches on this show, and then I also liked the segment with Chris Jericho and Vanguard 1.
I think I don't know. Did we talk about that on the air? Or was that before?
I think it was before.
I mean, I was okay with the segment until he released the Hounds. Then it just got.
But that was so funny though.
It was funny, but I was already done with the silly because of, Colt Cabana's. Oh Jesus. Him talking about Lance Archer and how he's going to beat Lance Archer in 2 weeks, and he's going to do it with his comedy and jokes. What the hell was that? That was the worst comment I've ever heard in my life. I'll beat him. I'll use all the comedy and jokes I have at my disposal to do it. It's like, what? He had a few.
I think you were supposed to have that reaction. I think it was supposed to be tongue in cheek.
But it wasn't. It wasn't like it got nothing. I would have maybe gotten it as a tongue in cheek thing if Tony had giggled a little, or if he'd even said it lighthearted. But he was saying it in as serious a mood or his tone as he could. And then he kept going on and on throughout the night. I'm a podcaster. I'm a YouTuber. Oh yeah, but I'm also a wrestler, and I can show that next week. It's like, okay, dude, calm down. You're not helping yourself.
Well, I do wonder how that's going to happen next week because I think clearly Kip Sabian's going to win and Colt Cabana's going to win because they were setting that up last week on this, for those two to be, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago for those two to have a match. So I'm just interested to see how that ends up happening. I mean, does Archer just beat Cabana so bad he gets himself disqualified? I mean, who knows?
That's probably the only way it can happen because I can't see them punking out two hot people in two back-to-back tournaments like they did with Dark Order in the tag tournament.
Well, the other way it could happen is, we don't know which match is first. So if Cody is facing Darby Allin and Cody loses to Allin because of interference by Archer, then Cody could interfere in Archer's match.
Yeah, well, Cody versus is next week, and Archer is in 2 weeks, isn't it? Or are they both next week?
I don't think they've said, have they?
I thought they said tonight that the first half of the tournament was this week, and then the second half was next week.
Oh, okay. So it's. Wait, who's Cody? Cody's facing
Spears.
Spears, that's right.
And that's next
these are
week.
These are actually both pay-per-view rematches that are coming up next week then.
Right. And the thing with next week too, when I looked at this tournament, I was looking at it going,
You totally missed the opportunity. You totally missed the opportunity for you to yell at me for yawning in your presence.
I wasn't going to do that because I think that's a dumb gimmick right now. Believe me, it crossed my mind, but then I was like, I just railed on how bad that gimmick is. And the way I look at this tournament is I see it going one of two ways, and I'm probably going to be wrong because I didn't predict SCU to win the tag tournament titles either. But I see it going one of two ways. I see the winner of Guevara and Darby Allin because those are essentially the two hottest guys in the company right now. Yeah. And I could easily see it going to the winner of that match. And as far as the winner of that match goes, I honestly don't know. Before, a couple weeks ago, I would have said that a couple weeks ago, but Sammy's been on fire lately. He's been on fire on the mic. He's been on fire in the ring. Tonight, we'll throw tonight out. But his match last week against Omega, I thought was great. I honestly, I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards it being Darby, but I honestly don't know. The other.
Well, don't you think they kind of set that up tonight though, with what happened at the end of that main event, where it was Darby, where we would get Darby and Cody in the second round?
Yeah, are we really going to do that with two sides of the bracket though? We set that up 2 weeks ago with Kip Sabian and Colt Cabana. Now we're going to do it again with Darby and Cody.
They've done it twice. They did it twice in the tag team tournament.
Well, they did it
They did with the Dark Order and Best Friends, and they did with SCU against the Lucha Brothers.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope that's not what happens. My guess is it'll probably be Darby. That's my guess. Is it will probably be Darby, and then Darby's finally going to get his one up on Cody because doesn't he have 2 time limit draws against Cody?
No, he's been time limit draw, and then Cody beat him a couple of weeks ago.
Didn't they have another match though when Darby said I'll be your tag partner if I prove I can hang with you or whatever, and he went to time limit draw again or something?
No, he said I'll be your tag team partner, but then you have to give me another shot at you.
Okay.
And when he got another shot at him, Cody beat him.
Okay, that's what it was. My head's in a cloud right now, so.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's right. But it would still be. I could still see that that scenario where it's Darby and Cody in the second round, and then you've got Darby getting his big win over Cody and moving on. But the other scenario I can see is on the other side, Lance Archer just running through this kind of like Alex Hammerstone did with the national title.
Yeah, I am so torn because I am so down on this title existing, and I'm down on Darby Allin being the first champion because I feel like it's going to take away from him him winning the title here. This title is going to take away from when he eventually becomes AEW World Champion, in my opinion.
But think about it this way.
But I don't feel that way about Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara, I feel like he's not had a shot at the AEW World Title yet. He doesn't have that path that he's already started towards that championship, and this would give a title back to the Inner Circle if he were to win it. Right. And it's a perfect and if it is treated as a TV title where it's like you have 10 minutes to beat me, or it goes to a time limit draw, or the title's no longer on the line, it's a perfect gimmick for a heel. So to and yeah, I mean, I feel the same way as you. There's only three guys I can see coming out of this with the championship. It's Darby, Sammy, or it's
Archer.
Or it's Archer. And if it's Archer, he's just gonna run over people. Maybe he'll just turn it into a tough man championship.
Well, what I could see coming out of this is now that Moxley's the champion, and Darby Allin is a top face, Moxley's a top face. I can see Darby chasing this title with Lance being the champion. And I think those two could put on amazing matches. Because you've got the one guy who likes to dish out punishment and the other guy who ignores punishment. I just...
And I'm just gonna say it so it's out there, and one of us has said it. They're gonna totally pull the wool over our eyes, and they're gonna put the title on Kip Sabian.
Would that, I would be okay with that.
It would be very, very Tully Blanchard and Baby Doll for it to be Kip Sabian with Penelope Ford.
I would be okay with that simply because we're not expecting it, and I feel like lately, with some of the silliness going on with the whole, forget what's actually happening in the world. When you look at AEW in general, it's gone towards kind of a dark feel. We've got the whole Dark Order and that, and then we've got Matt Hardy coming in, and you've got the whole thing with Hangman and his stuff, the Inner Circle. It's really gone into kind of a dark place. So for a complete swerve like that, to have a guy who's flashy and really full of himself to come out and win the title, I wouldn't have a problem with Kip Sabian doing that, to be honest.
No, me neither. I'm just saying that, but those are the only four guys I could see leaving with the championship. I don't see Cody doing it. I don't see Spears doing it.
Nope.
I don't see Cabana doing it, and I certainly don't see Dustin doing it.
No, and to be honest, in all honesty, I don't see Kip Sabian doing it either. But it would be nice. I would personally, I would be way more than okay with that, because I think that's kind of a little bit of what AEW might need right now. They don't have any kind of flashy front and center champions. Not just champions, but storylines or factions or anything. Everybody is really kind of a darker character. Darker factions, darker champions. It'd be nice to see that flashy guy like Kip Sabian, and I'd love to see him come out with tassels and things like that. That would just be a nice change of pace for everything else that's going on with AEW right now.
You mentioned darker, and you included Matt Hardy in there, and I just want to say, before I move on before I just expand more on that, I want to say that, even though you felt like the Chris Jericho part was really cheesy, and I'm not going to say it wasn't, and you said, it was kind of too much on top of Colt Cabana's actions, I will tell you that I laughed out loud at two parts of that. One of them was Jericho climbing out of the pool and being told and having his long pants on after being sitting in a swimming pool.
Yeah, and then grabbing that little tiny T-shirt made me laugh too.
Yeah, I just burst out laughing. And the second thing was him sending his hounds, his cadre of dogs, his pack after a flying drone. It's like, what the hell are our dogs gonna do?
Especially when one of them, I don't know what. I apologize. I'm sure there's gonna be dog lovers that are gonna jump on me for this, but I'm not sure what that dog breed was. But the little tiny one that looked kind of like a Yorkie / Shih Tzu type thing.
The one that just kind of stood there clueless.
Yeah, I won't lie. I did laugh. I just felt like it was borderline silly.
But that's kind of how the Broken Universe has always been, and that's where I was going to go. Is that I love the fact that 3 weeks in they're fully incorporating the Broken Universe. Where it's off kilter, where it's off screen, it's out of the ring, it's out of the building. Now it's on Jericho's compound, not necessarily on the Hardy compound, but I can see where. They can't do blood and guts right now because of the social distancing stuff.
Right.
And you probably want to do that in front. You probably want to do that in front of a big crowd anyway. You can't do the lumberjack match between Wardlow and Luchasaurus they originally advertised for last week. So they're doing stuff that I think is actually going to be really fitting for the times that we're in right now. Like they're doing the empty arena, no holds barred match between Moxley and Jake Hager. And now I think we're going to get something similar to a final deletion between Matt Hardy and Chris Jericho. And I think that's what they're building towards, and I'm excited to see it. I think Jericho's new style fits well with that, and Matt Hardy's always done well in those things. I mean, you and I, we created, was it in 2017 or 2018? I can't remember, but remind me which one it is. 2017, I'm pretty sure that you and I, we created our own, WrestleMania card. I think we called it WrestleZania,
Right.
based on my Zanman character, where we took matches from the previous 12 months, and we put it in there. And I selected as my tag team title match in my card, the Great War from Impact, which I think was a fantastic match. And you had no problems with me included in there because it was so damn fun.
Right.
The final deletion was, I don't think I ever watched the version that they did in WWE with Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. But everything they did in Impact with the Broken Universe was awesome. And so I'm very excited to see it come to AEW and see Chris Jericho taking part in it.
I think the thing they did in Impact that made the Broken Universe so well done was not just the matches and the compound and the Jeff Hardy final deletion stuff, but the fact that they included his wife and his kid and I can't remember the other guy's, was it his butler? I don't know who that was.
It's actually his father-in-law.
Oh, is that okay? But I think that's where WWE really dropped the ball on it, is they didn't include any of that stuff, and it wasn't just the Matt Hardy character that was so much fun. It was everything involved in it, the entire universe, all the other characters, all the other, the just different stuff. The Matt Hardy portion of it gets a little bit boring at times because it's the same rhetoric, him spouting out about being a 3,000-year-old whatever. But when he starts adding in the other characters, I think is where it really kind of hits its stride. I hope that's the route they go with AEW with it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, you saying the 3,000-year-old character, like, there's another part that I didn't really laugh, but I kind of like rolled my eyes and chuckled when instead of calling him Damascus, Jericho Damascus.
Yeah, I caught that. I laughed too. I thought Jericho's performance and it fit his character well and was actually really compelling. Even the Vanguard 1 stuff I didn't have a whole lot of issue with. I wish that they had set it up a little bit differently because we never really got Matt Hardy's side of it. Remember when they were setting it up, Tony Schiavone's like, oh, Matt Hardy sent us a video, and so did Jericho, so we spliced them together. Well, we really didn't get much of Matt Hardy's side of it.
His video was Vanguard 1.
Right, but, there wasn't I don't know, it seemed more like it would have been fine with it just being a Jericho. Hey, Jericho sent us a video, see what happened.
And I'm totally with you on what you said about his family. I mean, right now is not the right time for it because obviously you're not gonna want your family, especially when you have 2 little kids, to be traveling.
Right.
But the first time we see Rebecca come out there playing the piano with him coming down, I am gonna pop huge.
Yeah, and what was his baby's name? Baby something.
Shoot, I can't remember.
Well, I don't know. I felt like the whole family part of it was what made the character so well done.
Oh, it was for sure. But I'm just saying that seeing Rebecca out there, or Rebecca as he calls her, out there playing the piano, or for him and him coming down to her doing that like on a big entrance at a pay-per-view or something, is going to be really something special.
Oh yeah, I agree. But yeah, I mean that promo I thought was done well. It got to a point where I was sick of the silly, and we'd had way too much of it at that point. And then to see the dogs come out, I was like, oh. And then to see the gambling, I was like, all right, I'm done. I can't do this anymore tonight.
Yeah, I see. I get where you're coming from.
And it's weird to have me say that too when I was literally just saying that AEW needs to have a little more flash and happiness in their shows. They've gone a little too dark lately. Um, but that is the reality is they have gone a little dark. But I don't want it to just be comedy that is the light part of it. We need to have some kind of happy character, and with Kenny kind of was that glowing light character for a while, but he's really entrenched in the whole Hangman story. The Bucks are kind of gone a heelish type, so they're not really that flashy, happy-go-lucky team anymore. Best friends are about it.
Yeah, best friends and Orange Cassidy. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just think they need a little bit more of that sprinkled in, and not so much that it becomes overwhelming. And I like the feel of AEW. I like the darkness feel. I like the real people feel. But they can be real people and have a flashy character that really stands out. And I think Kip Sabian actually is a perfect guy for that.
Um, Matt Hardy and Rebecca's son. You were thinking of as Maxwell.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
they actually just had their third child in December of
Oh
last year.
wow.
Um, Bartholomew Barty Kit. Um,
Bartholomew Barty Kit.
Bartholomew, and then nickname is Barty, Bartie, and then
Okay.
Kit is the middle name.
Oh,
So,
okay.
um, yeah, and that's another reason why a tag team that I don't think should be a tag team in AEW kind of hurts me because I really feel like Ray Phoenix could be that guy too.
Oh,
You know, I,
absolutely.
I, I mean, I feel like Ray Phoenix would right. Eventually, it's going to be their world champion, but could really anchor that mid card as a bright, shining star, a happy-go-lucky, luchador babyface for them. And I think he's miscast as a heel, and I really don't like him being kind of held down in a tag team.
Yeah, I agree with you there too, and I do agree with you. I think he could be that flashy guy too. And while you were talking, another segment that they had that kind of didn't sit well with me was the Young Bucks segment. I,
Okay.
I mean, I get what they're playing was that Nick got a concussion, and that's the way they're playing this off. I mean, and unless you're being told he got a concussion, you wouldn't actually think that by the way he was laying underneath there, because it looked like the door had fallen on him, not hit him on the top of the head, type. But regardless, they're playing it off that he's got a concussion, and in his statement there, he's talking about I don't know when or if I'll ever be back, and um, you know, all we know about concussions is you shouldn't be running the ropes and vigorous stuff like that while you're healing from the concussion. It wasn't that long ago that you got this, what they're claiming was a major concussion.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's talking about how he doesn't know if he'll ever be able to come back and all this stuff. But all he wants to do is get back to the fans and everything. And it's when he said that, I kind of groaned too, because it's like, come on, you know what's going on right now. You can't have fans in your arenas. It just the whole thing was kind of off-putting.
I can see that. I guess I honestly wasn't paying that close attention to it. I'm not sure why, because you and I have always been big Young Bucks fans. But I mean, I guess I just wasn't really. I really wasn't buying into that drama tonight, I guess.
Well, and that's basically what it was. Is it became nonsensical drama because it's a concussion. That's what they've been playing this off as. Even when he was talking about his symptoms and losing his memory for that little bit and everything, and it being scary, he had a grade 3 concussion. Is what happened, and it's with all of the knowledge that we have on concussions, that segment just didn't work.
I'm actually very interested to see what happens the next few weeks with AEW, because I don't know. I'm not sure if you heard the news today, Jeff, but today the governor of Florida announced a statewide stay-at-home order.
Huh?
So by midnight tomorrow night, just like we are here in Minnesota, by midnight tomorrow night, there's no non-essential travel in Florida. that of course is going to affect what WWE does with their performance center. It's going to mean that they can't film AEW in Jacksonville anymore because it's not an essential service.
Wow.
So I'm wondering, like, are they going to do what WWE did last week and just kind of try to film a bunch of Dynamites in the next couple of days? Or are they going to try to maybe film one or two and, especially get that empty arena match in and try to get the TV title tournament in? I was suggesting to my wife when I read that, I was like, well, I wonder if they could, if I were them and I didn't have time to do that, or I wasn't able to do that, what I would probably do is I would maybe do like 1 hour, maybe do like two separate like 1 hour shows, like maybe like 1 hour do like a best of, and now another hour, like for the next like 3 weeks, like show an hour of Double or Nothing. Just go back to the beginning and just show those pay-per-views that are old. Maybe not everybody's seen them, but maybe not going to go back and pay the $40 or $50 to watch them.
Right.
And just kind of show that background. Or I guess really if they wanted to, they could do some kind of like a 2 hour long Being the Elite specials. But I think that would get really old really quick. So it's going to be interesting to me to see what they actually come up with over the next month, because it is a 30-day stay-at-home order that starts tomorrow night at midnight.
Well, I'm hoping that the Floridians take it a little more seriously than those of us in Minnesota have.
Or California or Hawaii.
Right. Stay at home. We're never going to get our lives back if we don't stay at home.
It actually amused me watching the news tonight where they said that alcohol or liquor stores are an essential business, but smoke shops are not.
And neither are schools.
No. But then it was explained to me that like alcohol is because they can't have people going through withdrawal right now, because then that would help sharpen the curve rather than flatten it.
Yeah, and that's that was my theory too. I mean, if they closed liquor stores, they would have to have armed guards at all hours on liquor stores, because those would get looted immediately, and the hospitals couldn't handle all the withdrawals that would be happening. I mean, there are some people that have drank nightly for years. And those people aren't just drinking a few drinks, they're drinking, a lot of drinks. So for them to come down from that, the withdrawals would be insane.
Yeah. I wonder how many people are going to just decide they enjoy drinking at home more, and the bars are going to suffer for that.
I don't think that'll ever happen. People need socializing too much.
I suppose.
Now, me on the other hand, I'm okay with this. I, wouldn't mind seeing, getting out occasionally to go to a park or something, but I don't mind the being at home by myself, or just me and my kid.
Yeah, I don't either, really. So, yeah. So I mean, the things we didn't talk about was the stuff that we really enjoyed, which I thought the opening match between Trent and Kenny was really good. I mean, I'm not going to give it the kind of praise that Tony and Cody were giving, and it wasn't, to me, like the greatest thing ever, and it wasn't even one of the best 4 matches I saw the last 2 days. But I thought it was a really good match, and then I enjoyed watching my girl Hikaru Shida come out there and have a strong debut match, I thought, by Anna Jay against her.
Yeah, I enjoyed Anna Jay a lot, and I felt like that opening match could have been a pay-per-view main event match.
Really?
I thought it was that good. Do I think it's one of the greatest matches of all time? Absolutely not. I don't know that it was as great as they really let it up to be, but I definitely could have seen that match. If that match had been a pay-per-view main event, I would have gone home happy.
Sure, yeah, that I can agree with, but I'm saying that I liked Fletcher versus Mills better.
Oh, absolutely.
I liked David Starr versus the young kid, whatever his name was again, better.
Call him something.
Yeah, I like that one better too. So I mean, to me, it's not even, well. And I said top 4, but yeah, probably at least it's probably the 3rd best match I've seen this week.
Yeah, and I'll agree with that. I guess my whole point on it is I'm just saying that. And I put it in our description that we had, a main event pay-per-view quality match, which we did. I would have been happy with that being the pay-per-view main event.
Yeah,
I would
fair
not. I
enough.
would not have been mad at. I would not have been Undertaker Roman Reigns mad had that been the pay-per-view event, or had
Oh, did you want to talk about that tonight since we didn't talk about it last night?
not. It is what it is. I mean, we can, but I'm not
Okay. Well,
really that.
I thought you were disappointed we didn't get to it last night. That's why.
I well, because it was topical and something that we could have spent 5-10 minutes on, but it's nothing major. I mean, Roman Reigns pulled himself out of the main event of one of the WrestleManias. Is
Yeah.
basically what happened, and what's gonna. It's kind of a odd call that he made, but then again, too, it was against Goldberg, so who cares?
Well, Goldberg might be the one guy that the fans would have cheered Roman Reigns against, though.
I
You
don't
know.
think so. He's still over. They still cheer him for some reason.
But do you think people really wanted him to be the Universal Champion?
No, I was looking forward to Bray Wyatt, to be honest.
I know, but I mean, Roman was going to win the title at this WrestleMania. I mean, obviously, Mother Nature, God, whoever the fuck you want to say, changed those plans. but I mean, that was always going to be that was always going to be the case. Just like goddamn Charlotte was always going to be the main event of last year's WrestleMania, despite her not deserving it to be there.
Right,
You know.
exactly. But yeah, I
So
mean, it was something we could have spent a little bit of time on, but it wasn't pressing that I needed to talk about it. But that's pretty much
yeah,
it.
okay,
Roman
all right.
Reigns pulled himself out of the main event.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how much if that's going to end up hurting his career that he did that.
I don't think so. The only way I could see it hurting his career is if the WWE is spiteful about it.
That's what I meant. That's exactly what I meant. Like if WWE says, we took all these safety precautions, you would have been fine, and you made the executive decision just to pull out of WrestleMania, out of the main event of the biggest show of the year.
A week before it happened.
A week before it happened, we'd already filmed the match, or actually, I guess they didn't film the match. But we were all set to film the match, and you're like, nah, I'm gonna pimp out,
Right.
deuces. So.
Roman Reigns has screwed up enough that I don't know, and they've still stayed behind him that I don't know. I guess I don't know. It's all going to depend on if Vince continues to see money in him or not.
Well, I think a big determining factor will be how the crowd reacts on this weekend when Braun Strowman wins the championship.
Yeah, true.
There is no crowd, Jeff.
I know.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you missed that or you're just playing along with me.
I was playing along with you.
Okay. You just did it so dryly that I was like, wait, did he really think there's going to be a crowd?
The way I want to see the Braun Strowman match end is a spear and a jackhammer 30 seconds in from Braun to Goldberg.
That would be amazing. That would be absolutely amazing.
A 30-second match, Braun comes in, spears him, and jackhammer match is over.
That'd be great.
It's the only way I could sit through that match, to be honest with you.
Well, the good thing about it is that Strowman and Reigns have had some amazing matches against each other.
Yeah, they have, and that's one thing to look forward to. I mean, Roman's got such a great work ethic, and he's a hell of an actual wrestler. He may not be that great on the mic. He may not be the fans' choice, but ultimately he's a really really strong wrestler. And he can have a great match with pretty much anybody, and he's proven it against Brock, against Seth, against Braun Strowman, against John Cena. He's had some great matches. So I think in the long run, talent trumps all. And his last name is not Savage, so I think he'll be fine in Vince's eyes. But I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Well, I'll say this. In 2016, there were two guys that had three of the best matches in WWE, and one of those guys' name was Roman Reigns, and the other guy's name is AJ Styles. And I'll fight anybody who disagrees with me on that.
I told you that those three matches that they had that year were probably three of my favorite in the entire year. All three of them were.
Well, no, they only had two.
Didn't they? I thought they had three.
No, what I would say is that AJ versus Roman, both of those two matches in back-to-back pay-per-views were amazing.
Yes.
Roman versus Seth was the match of the year, and then AJ versus Cena at SummerSlam. Well, no, not that match. Excuse me, AJ versus Dean
Cena
Ambrose. Dean Ambrose at TLC was amazing.
and AJ versus Cena, even though Cena won the belt, was still amazing too.
Oh,
That
that was at Royal
Rumble.
Rumble though, so
Yeah.
it was early the next year. But yeah, that was amazing too.
So I mean,
And as far as an actual story, AJ beating Cena when Cena was rusty coming back also at Money in the Bank was fantastic too. So
well, and didn't they have that series where AJ won all 3 matches?
yeah, well AJ beat him at Money in the Bank.
Right.
Then he beat him again at SummerSlam.
In that tag match.
And then he won and then he beat him in that there was that triple threat match also involving Dean that AJ won.
Right, and then he lost to him at Royal Rumble for John to get his 16th title.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
But to me, what I'm saying is that out of the 4 best matches in WWE in 2016, 3 of them involved AJ Styles and 3 of them involved Roman Reigns.
Yep.
So.
Yep, I agree. I'm not going to disagree with that. I think Roman is gotten kind of a I don't want to say maybe bad press because the fans turned on him because his name wasn't Daniel Bryan. And for some reason, the fans never forgave him for that. And part of that is the WWE continuing to push him down our throats. But we were in the midst of CM Punk and Daniel Bryan and those types of wrestlers becoming our favorites and being pushed to the top. To see the muscle-bound guy like Roman get all the love was hard for a lot of people to take. But because of that, people have really looked past his actual ability in the ring, and he is very good in the ring.
See, for me, it wasn't that they pushed him over Daniel Bryan. It was that they booked him so poorly after the Shield broke up. Then he had that 2 months he was injured, and he had no momentum going into the Royal Rumble, and they still had him win the Royal Rumble. That to me was, there's times that a course correction is called for, and Vince McMahon just over the years has been completely unwilling to do it, even though it's what's called for.
What did he do? I'm trying to remember what he even did after the Shield broke up.
Well, he didn't seem to care about the Shield breaking up, which was the problem.
Yeah, I mean, it was Seth and Dean.
He ended up facing off against Randy Orton.
Okay, because I know it was Seth and Dean were having a blood feud, and then Roman just kind of went his own way. Just was like, all right, well, whatever. Yeah, but then the guy who just went his own way got to keep the Shield music, got to keep the Shield look. The other two had to change their music and change their look, but Roman got to keep it all.
Yeah. Figure that one out.
Which didn't make any sense to me because he seemed to be the one who cared the least about the Shield.
Exactly.
So, all right. Well, I guess
I guess that's it for our show. A little bit of AEW, a little bit of WWE, a little bit of the world at large. Jeff and I talked about this a little bit after our show last night, and we hope that even though we do mention from time to time what's going on, we hope that our show, both of our shows that we do, can be a bit of a distraction for you guys out there. It is for us. We love doing this show, but we hope that it helps you guys get through this time too, when you guys are stuck at home, with nothing to do. We know that you have other entertainment options out there as well, but we hope that we can give you guys a little bit of entertainment to get you through these dark times as well.
Which would be nice, because I know that Shane is a very entertaining person, and I'm along for the ride.
You're not so bad yourself, man.
Again, everyone that didn't hear last night, we gave April free for our Patreon list subscribers. Anyone that
and that's not April Fool's either.
No, that's a real life thing. Anybody who's currently subscribed to us gets the month of April free because we haven't been able to put content on for the last couple of weeks, and probably won't again next week because of the ridiculous 40 hours of WrestleMania we have to watch. But we gave you the month of April free. Anybody that signs up now gets the month of April free. Nobody will get charged until May 1st. a little bit of a payment holiday, just in thanks for being supportive to us over the years. Also, patreon.com/Kingdom of Honor, that's where you go for that. And after April, starting May 1st, donations will kick up again, and we would appreciate if you did donate to us. And we do give not only our archives, which is every show we've ever done all the way back to 2015, but also we try to produce at least one Patreon exclusive show. Well, we try to do at least 3 per month. Shoot for 4, hope to get 3. Exclusive pay-per-view shows per month, and right now we're working on running through the Sinclair era of Ring of Honor. Also, our YouTube channel, if you're listening to it, appreciate it. Go ahead, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell, because we do this live twice a week. And at least once a month, we're going to try to get back to doing a live breakdown of a current show that we're watching. The one coming up here is Lock and Key. And then, of course, our Twitter, I'm at Zanman. He's at Zanman. I'm at Regi Co-op. Use hashtag DAD and hashtag KOH. You'll be able to find us pretty easy that way.
Yeah, so we're covering Lock and Key right now. The last one we covered was Watchmen, and our buddy Ryan asked us if we could cover this 3rd season of Jessica Jones, which we already wanted to circle back on before too long anyway. So I think if Jeff's amenable to it, I think that after we do Lock and Key, we're going to go right back into Jessica Jones.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I do know that we've got this Tiger thing that is all the rage now that just debuted on Netflix too. So I'm going to want to check that out at some point.
That is an amazing show, my friend.
Is it? I haven't seen a single second of it.
And here's something incredible about that. I actually met the guys in that show.
Oh, did you?
About several months. Well, I want to say maybe 6 months after my brother passed away. The guy, the Tiger King, actually had a touring bus where he would tour around with tiger cubs and lion cubs and even bigger tigers, and you could go in there and you could see the big ones, and you could play with the little ones. And I got to play with a lion cub there. I met the Tiger King himself, Joe Exotic. I met his husband, and the folks that he worked with. So it was kind of incredible when we were flipping through Netflix. We saw that come on. We're like, we know those people. I mean,
wow.
Not know them, but we met all those people. So. And we even donated to them. We donated a fax printer to them when they were looking for a fax machine, and that gave me an extra 20 minutes to get to play with Oliver, the little baby lion cub. So,
nice.
Yeah. So, that's a great show. Another show we talked about doing was October Faction, but now I read this weekend that they canceled it after 1 season, so I'm not sure if we're gonna do that or not. So, anyway. Make sure you stay tuned to all the other LOP radio shows. Tomorrow night is, well, the few that are still left standing. Tomorrow night is Im's LOP Radio Adventure, where I think he'll be doing a second part of his WrestleMania preview. He did the first part last week. And I'm sure he'll be talking about Roman Reigns on his show, because he had talked about Roman Reigns on the previous show, and he probably wants to correct what he said. On Friday is Miz Fan's Mystery Bag, where he and the Mystic are going through what Mystic did, who's kind of been in his own NWA/WCW centric wrestling bubble for a long time. He's had Miz Fan pick out a wrestler that Miz Fan really likes, because Miz Fan is basically like has an encyclopedia knowledge of pro wrestling these days. A wrestler that he likes, of 2 matches and a promo for that guy, and they're going to focus on that every week, which is a really awesome idea. They did Eddie Kingston the first week. I'm not sure what they did last week because I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm sure he'll come up with somebody great. If you want to see who has knowledge of WXW and WSW and Chikara and Beyond Wrestling and American Rana and all that stuff, Miz Fan's your guy. Follow him on Twitter. He's an amazing gentleman. And then we'll be back with you next week on Tuesday, talking about WrestleMania on Kingdom of Honor. That's all we got. We'll try to do better next time. This is Shane saying long days, pleasant nights, and Jeff saying
goodbye.